Before colonization, animals were not weak. They were not limping genetic experiments bred into deformity. They were not shaking in crates or screaming behind steel bars. They were not cute. They were not pets. They were ideological masterpieces, perfected over millions of years, until Europeans pulled up with their guns, cages, and neurotic urge to control everything that breathes. The American bison, a 2,000-pound land ship with a symphony of digestive bacteria, capable of unlocking cellulose from prairie grass most mammals would starve on. Their hooves aerated the plains. Their grazing patterns rotated ecosystems, and their migratory cycles spanned thousands of miles, synchronized with insect hatching and seasonal fire patterns. They were a moving climate regulation system. The Pacific salmon, they didn't just swim upstream. They carried marine nitrogen into mountain forests. When they died, their decomposing bodies fed trees. You are breathing salmon-fed oxygen. But Europe came with dams, with hatcheries, with monocultures, with extraction. Now, they're dying with empty stomachs from Euro-imported sea lice. The African elephant, not just a big mammal, but a keystone species with a 4-inch thick hippocampus, a memory palace that maps entire savannas. They break trees to open the canopy. They dig wells that hydrate other species. They plant forests in their dung. They have a gestation cycle of 22 months. But Europe said, nice tusks, and turned a sacred hydrological engineer into piano keys and war ivory. Wolves used to manage deer populations with surgical precision, preventing overgrazing, shaping the actual flow of rivers. They'd been co-evolving with the land for hundreds of thousands of years. Then Europe showed up and called it pest control. Camels can recycle urea, store fat in humps to avoid water loss, and close their nostrils in sandstorms. Their red blood cells are oval-shaped so they don't rupture in dehydration. Colonizers saw beasts of burden and overloaded them with salt and steel until their joints shattered. Turkeys in Mesoamerica were semi-domesticated symbiotic beings, selectively bred, not for meat, but for plumage, ritual use, and companionship. Their vocal range was used in calendrical rituals. They were living timekeepers, but Europe bred them to be so breast-heavy that they can't even reproduce without human intervention. What Europe did wasn't just ecological devastation. It was biological vandalism. It was turning migratory species into meat inventory, turning genetically diverse populations into monocultures of misery, turning sentient co-managers of Earth's systems into feedlot prisoners and carnival exhibits. Before colonization, the animals were stronger. They were smarter. They were biochemically superior, neurologically expansive, behaviorally complex. They were not sick. They were not sad. They were not bred to be docile. And now we've got flat-faced pugs with respiratory failure, chickens that grow so fast their bones snap, and farm-raised salmon that are gray until they're dyed pink. That's your progress. That's your dominion. That's your superiority. That's your supremacy. You want to help undo some of that desecration? Start by learning the names of the animals your ancestors wiped out. Then go to www.jorgethevanguard.com. Link in bio. And next time you see a raccoon in the trash, bow. You're looking at one of the few still outwitting empire. Cope.